These are the men and women who help teach the faith and spread the light of God in this world. This is Pastor Stories. This is Center Broadcasting Company. This is Justin Mott, continuing our pastor series. Today we have Pastor Josh Crawford from the Pleasant Grove Missionary Baptist Church. Now, tell us about your church. Do you know when it was founded?
The church was actually founded in 1876, which to me, like I said, is mind-blowing because it was before the courthouse was even there, established. But it's gone through, I think, 3 or 4 different buildings since then. But yeah, 1876.
Now, moving into your story, tell us what got you involved in the ministry.
What got me involved were influences in my life. My mom, for one, taking me to church, or as I like to say, dragging me to church when I was a kid. And one of those churches was Pleasant Grove Missionary Baptist Church. I have many fond memories of them. And back then, my pastor at that time was Melvin Crouch. So many fond memories of that church family then. And then second, I'd like to give a little shout out to my wife's family. They're, as a non-believer at the time, I looked to them as an example of how God worked in one's life, how to get saved. I asked them lots of questions because my father-in-law is a pastor. My brother-in-law is a preacher. Got uncles and cousins all in my wife's family. They're all preachers and pastors. So they're the ones that I said, well, if I'm going to learn it anywhere, if I'm going to find out, get to the bottom of this Christianity thing, it's going to be through them. And so I watched them, learned from them, asked them questions, and that's what got me saved, or on the road to salvation anyway. But ironically enough, it was through music, as well. Growing up, I've always been big into music. I guess you could say I'm one of them MTV generation kids back when they actually had music. But I listened to music, and then it got to Christian music, and then one of the songs I just had to repeat one night, and that's it turned from a song into more like a prayer and crying out, and that's when I accepted the Lord in my life.
And lastly, would you have any advice to people that may feel to be called to the ministry?
Yeah, well, first of all, just advice in general. Seek Christ. Put Him first in your life. And if you don't have a relationship with Him, get a relationship with Him before it's too late. That as preachers, that's what we need to do. We need to, not put on smiles and sugarcoat everything, but you need Jesus in your life. And my advice, if you feel God calling, because God has a calling for each of us. He has a purpose for all of us. And I learned that the hard way. I've stumbled around and ran from it for my whole life. That's why they call it surrendering to preach, because I sure fought Him for that. But He has a calling for each and every one of us. And my advice is to, if you don't know that calling, pray, ask, find that calling in your life. And if you feel a void in your life, He will fill that void. He will, into your life, He will give you that purpose. He will fill you completely. But my advice is just seek Him always.